Radio AM with Doug and Alex Hajicek.
Well, hello, Alex.
Hello.
And all these wonderful people I see in our live audience. So how the heck is every single person? We had a really beautiful Labor Day weekend here. Hopefully everybody did. Did you get outside?
Yeah.
Did you even get outside?
I did. I went to the fair.
Oh, you did? Oh, I didn't even get to go to the fair.
It was quite the zoo.
I haven't missed it.
Let me tell you.
I haven't missed a fair since I was a baby. First one.
Wow.
Yeah, first one. I
suppose. Yeah, you're so busy.
Anyhow, and it's over, right? Oh yeah, it was over Monday.
Yeah.
Anyhow, did you know, everybody, we need your help. We're at 11,995 subs. We need 5 more subs to hit 12,000. So maybe we can do that tonight with a little help. If you're listening, haven't subscribed, we would really love it if we could flip to 12,000 tonight. That'd be pretty cool.
Let's do it, guys. We need your help.
Yeah, and then hit the notification bell too.
Hit the notification
and then they'll notify.
bell.
They'll remind you. You know, and you can pick that notification bell for any show you want to be notified of. Speaking of that, we have a new show starting next week. Oh, there it is. Monster Soup, hosted by Dave Spencer. So we're looking forward to that. I know you've been working hard getting this set up.
Yes, sir.
And looks good. You know, Dave drew that logo.
That's awesome. He's a great artist.
He's an artist, so he drew his own show logo. Very cool.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
So that starts, and then we have another show starting by Rich Daniels called Footprints in My Mind. Oh, there we go. Oh, The Mind of My Mind. Yeah, I'm close. So that starts too. When do these shows start, Alex?
So they're both supposed to drop this Friday.
So this week, another reason to subscribe. There we go.
Yep.
Because if you don't subscribe and support us, then we can't keep bringing you all this new programming.
All this free content.
Really helps. Yeah. And it's just some really good, very creative, very informative programming. Not to mention a little entertainment, I think, in there. I think.
Oh, yeah.
So anyhow, we have to say goodbye to summer, Alex. So September 22nd is the last day of summer.
Oh.
Coming soon. What is today? The 4th?
Yeah, the 4th.
September 4th, 2024. But anyhow, so Labor Day, it was just, the skies were blue. There weren't even any contrails in the sky. 72 degrees. It was just, so I did get out a little bit this weekend and got to go on some bike rides, got to go boating. Labor Day, had a big barbecue on Monday. Yeah, so I did that. But I didn't get to go to the fair, so I'm jealous. And then after fishing and boating, we decided to go into the movie theater, right? And watch a movie.
Right. Yeah.
So about maybe a quarter through the movie, I'm kind of thinking, I'm looking at the remote trying to, I can't see the buttons. I'm like, something's wrong here. I'm like, what? And all of a sudden I realized I had my sunglasses on still. I'm in the movie theater with my sunglasses.
Oh, no.
Well, Jeff, he was looking. He didn't say a damn thing to me.
He never said a word.
Never said a word to me. Like, really? So I felt a little, what would be the nerdy? That was a nerdy thing to do. Something you'd do.
Yeah.
So that's maybe where Alex gets his nerdiness. Maybe it got passed on from me.
Just a little bit.
But, you feel like, God, how stupid could I be? Anyhow, and you just got back from South Dakota trip, and you still haven't told us anything about your trip. I'm curious. Did anything? Every time I've gone out there, something weird or funny happens, and you see, it's out west, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's the triangle. Things happen out there. It's where my dad saw his first UFO on the way to the South Dakota Badlands, and
His first one.
yeah, there was a real quick story. He saw two sets of eyes on the side of the road, right in the Badlands. Two sets. So he thought, well, that's interesting. He slowed down a little bit because he was worried something would jump in front of the car. Well, an owl takes off right where the other set of eyes was. And then a rabbit runs across the road, and where the rabbit and the owl was, a UFO takes off. He described it. My brother saw it too. And they described it like an unbalanced pinwheel. And it went, you know what I mean? Just this kind of slow, and they watched it go up. But before it went up, it hit the windshield of the car, broke the car windshield. Cracked it.
It cracked the
windshield? It hit the windshield of the car. Yep. And then they saw it going up in the moonlight. It was like a full moon night, and they could see it like doing this up and gone. I remember asking them to tell that story all the time. So did you have anything weird happen?
Well, I forget what it's called. Like, we went to it's like bear country or whatever, but you go in with your car and there's just these roaming bears. And, of course, that's when I roll my windows up.
And did you lock your doors twice?
Yeah. I wanted to make sure none of them tried the door handles.
So how do they not, when you leave there, how do they not follow you out? I don't understand.
There was like some weird contraption, like you drive through.
Like a cattle with the bars across it, or
something like that. And obviously, everything's really
garden?
fenced in.
Yeah, but how do you drive out without the bears just following you out?
They must feed them really well.
Oh, Jesus. So that was your weird thing? You went to the bear thing?
Well, it's so surreal. I mean, we got a line of cars, and this bear, he walks right in front of the dirt road in front of this poor Jeep and just lays there it seemed like forever, and then finally gets up and takes a giant dump.
Oh, nice. Okay. That's Alex's. What did Iker think of all this?
Oh, he loved it. But yeah, we did everything. We went to the Wall Drug, which is like the size of the Mall of America, but it's a drugstore.
Yeah, I remember Wall Drug.
The Badlands.
It's where I bought my first jackknife at Wall Drug, a yellow handle jackknife. I get home and some teenager took it away from me. Some big teenager. I get home like a little 8-year-old kid, and this teenager goes, "Let me see your knife." And then he just drove off with it. I was heartbroken.
What the hell?
So you know what I did last time I went to Wall Drug?
What?
I bought a new yellow handle. They still had yellow handle jackknives there.
They still had it.
Yep. I was still wishing I had my. Did you guys go to like the reptile gardens or?
Yeah. Iker he loved every snake, man, every single one. Wow!
It was wow.
That's insane.
And what about Custer and Mount Rushmore and all that?
Yeah, we did that, and we went to Deadwood.
Ooh, I love Deadwood.
While Bill Hickok was shot.
Yeah.
We were right in the spot where he got it.
Yeah. That's pretty. Yeah, I remember that. I've been through Deadwood. I love Deadwood. It's just so cool.
Yeah.
The slot machine's kind of loose there too. You should have gambled a little bit. They're pretty loose in Deadwood. Could have made a little money.
Yeah, I just didn't want to be tempted. Next thing you know, I'm mortgaging my house.
Okay. All right. Enough of that crap. All right. So there wasn't a ton in the news, but there was some, little tidbits that were pretty interesting. So this I found really interesting. Researchers found evidence that large sharks may be hunting each other. And I've wondered about this. do they attack each other? Because normally we all kind of think of sharks as like blood predators, like they're scavengers mainly. But there's evidence that this, it's called a poor beagle shark. That's pictured there. They get up to about 12 foot. They had a satellite radio tracking program. And all of a sudden, one of the trackers got warm. The thing kind of went dormant, meaning it wasn't moving, but it just spiked, got really warm. So they're even speculating maybe a warm-blooded mammal was one of the, some of the scientists did mention that. Like it should have been a warm-blooded mammal that attacked it and ate it. But yet then I think they figured out there's some shark that it has more heat in it. It's not like it maybe came from above or whatever. But anyhow, so they figured that this 8-footer just got eaten by another big shark.
Gosh, can you imagine an 8-footer being eaten like nothing?
Yeah. Well, I just think it's cool they're using satellite technology, you know. So I think a lot more ocean animals are cannibals than they think. So it may have been another shark of the same species. Breed. That's what you would think, because they're all hanging out, trusting each other. You know, it's like hanging out with your buddy, and all of a sudden he decides to gulp you down. Hey, how's your day? Well, I'm doing pretty good. Clunk, eat.
Yeah, I've had a few friends like that.
Sure. So that could be what's going on. But the weird thing is that really got my attention is that the temperature suddenly went up. They actually said, told researchers something warm-blooded ate that big shark. And then apparently it reached 600 meters below sea level. So it's pretty far. It's down deep, man.
That's super deep.
Apparently these tracked satellite tags are really accurate. So, but like giant squid, that's what I depended on, cannibalism, when we, had that theory that only the small ones swim up and down the vertical water column and the big ones just lay in wait and cannibalize their brothers and sisters. That was my theory, and it worked. We used a squid to have another squid, think it was food. So there you go. And then speaking of attacks, there was a 5-year-old. I just think of the horror this poor kid went through. He was attacked by a mountain lion on Labor Day on a family outing in Malibu Creek State Park, Los Angeles. Not something you expect when you take your kid on a little hike, right? Could you imagine the horror, Alex? This lion grabbed him and dragged him away. And luckily, the adults, yelled at it and charged it, and it let go, and they saved the kid. So the kid is recovered or recovering. Yep. What do you think?
Hmm? That's good that he's recovering.
Yep. So apparently there was 6 adults there, and they were having a picnic. And it says as the cougar suddenly appeared and snatched the boy, as his family witness watched in horror, according to one statement. One of the adults charged at the lion. So somebody was really, that took a lot of courage, dude.
Yeah.
Think about it. Would you charge at a mountain lion?
No.
Well, if it was your kid in its jaws, you probably would.
Yeah. I wouldn't think about it, though.
Yeah, but I don't know who charged. It didn't say what family member, but anyhow, and this incident comes after a 21-year-old man was killed by a cougar that attacked him and his 18-year-old in May in Northern California's El Dorado National Forest. And part of the reason, and I'm definitely pro hunting for many reasons, because if you don't care about, it's the hunters that have kind of brought deer populations up, bear populations up. Otherwise, there's no money. Plus, these predatory animals can lose fear of man, and it gets passed on. these cougars are not hunted anymore. So they have no fear. They're losing their fear.
No fear.
And yeah, that's the last thing you want to do is get attacked by a lion. Ooh, horrible. But it says they're really rare, but I swear to God, I hear about them all the time. It says since 1890, fewer than 50 mountain lion attacks on humans have been reported in California. That's one state. 6 that have been fatal since 1890. I don't know. It just seems like there's been a lot more than that. Doesn't it seem like it to you?
Yeah. I hear them I hear about them all the time too.
Yes. And next, the Burning Man attendees were blasted by a giant dust storm as they were leaving. Can you imagine all these people trying to leave when they close this event down? All the equipment and all the trailers full of crap. And if you've never been in a dust storm, I have been in at least 2 of them. And they are scary. They really are, because you can't see anything. It's like fog. I always describe it to people as it's like fog that really hurts and stings.
Can you even breathe in a dust storm if you're stuck out there?
Well, yeah, it's hard to breathe, but it hurts. Yeah. I remember the pain of being caught in that dust storm and the sting on your face, your legs, your arms that were exposed. So anyhow, apparently this took them like 10 hours to get everybody out of there. It's a long wait.
10 hours stuck in that? No, thank you.
Yeah, it says billowing plumes of grit and sand kept drivers from inching along at more of a glacial pace on Monday. It says the winds were blowing hard and fast, enough for the dust to sting the skin of any attendees unfortunate enough to have gone bare-legged. There we go. And then they discovered some new species, including things like flying spaghetti monsters, different types of flying spaghetti monsters, deep ocean squid. And this was over a mountain, what they call a sea mount. They don't call them mountains underwater. They call them sea mounts. And apparently there's a lot of thriving creatures, kind of a big ecosystem. But this mountain they had never really explored is 1.9 miles tall. So basically 2 miles tall. So it's making it taller than 5 World Trade Centers. That's how tall the mountain is.
That's scary high.
Yep. And apparently the team mapped the mountain. And I think I sent you a picture of that mountain. And then they deployed an underwater robot to scour the ridges for creatures. And they found sponge gardens, ancient corals. And around there, they have discovered 150 previously unknown species. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
And I guess on this last trip, they found 20 suspected new species. You know, it takes time to do the taxonomy. And then there was another spaghetti monster I think I sent you. I don't know. Yep, there you go. Spaghetti monster. I guarantee these things are a lot bigger than they look. I think those tentacles could be like 20 feet long.
Whoa.
So there you go. That's it. That's all I got for news.
What's next?
I thought we would do tech breakdown. I got kind of a quick one tonight, but I got 2 things I want to talk about.
Sure.
No bumper?
We're going into tech breakdown, right?
Yeah. You don't want to do a bumper? You can play the trivia bumper for tech breakdown if you want.
No, let's do this bumper.
Technological breakdown.
Okay, there are tons and tons of iPhone accessories. Some people buy a lot. Like Chris, when we were up at Snowgrove, I swear he had every one you could buy for doing research. He had more attachments for his iPhone. I couldn't even believe it. You know, a lot of them are really cool. But anyhow, this is one that I highly recommend if you want a really small, compact, really effective microscope for looking at what else but Bigfoot hair, or looking for Bigfoot hair, maybe in a footprint. But this is under $40. That's what makes it so cool. It fits all cameras. It's got a little ring light, and it goes up to 200x, which is pretty powerful, right? And I love touch microscopes like this because you can bring them to where you need them. It's not like a desk microscope. Like when I do, research on hair samples, I've got a big Olympus endoscope type. That was like 50 grand. It's really expensive. But they're sneaking up on things like that with these kind of devices. You can hook it on any cell phone, and you can get here's the other beauty. You can capture now the video and the stills. So not only, excuse me, can you see it with your eyes, but you can capture it to share it. Right?
Right.
Super easy.
Right.
Super cool. So, and you can get these on Amazon, of course.
It's I'm gonna have to start calling Chris Inspector Gadget.
Well, this didn't come from Chris.
So he didn't have this one.
No. He didn't have this. He has a lot of attachments for doing film work.
For film work.
Yeah,
okay.
like thermal cam attachments and steady cam attachments. He had all sorts of stuff. But no, he didn't have this.
He didn't have the microscope.
And I have to be honest. I don't own this yet, but I've ordered it. And the reason I ordered it, I reviewed it. I checked the images. Go ahead and throw that image up. Yep, there you go. That just gives you an idea how sharp and clear.
Wow.
That's a piece of cloth, right?
Look at that detail.
Yeah. So this will be really good for fibers. And you can lay like a hair on a piece of paper with a sterile tweezers on a new piece of paper. You could even possibly tape down one little bit of it with a little tiny micro piece of Scotch tape, and then use this microscope. So I think you'll really like it. Another question I get asked all the time, and I get asked at least 10 times a year on this: what casting product do I like to use? And the answer is just simply Hydrocal. Hydrocal is so much better than plaster of Paris. It's what they use for dental castings. It dries very quickly, creates heat, dries, and it's as hard as stone. I mean, you can drop these casts on a cement, and sometimes they won't even break.
They sound super durable.
It's really durable, super cheap. You can get a 25-pound bag for like $25, I think, or no. Let me look here. It's $3.50 a pound. So $35 for 10 pounds. And that's what I recommend you carry, 10 pounds. You're going to want to carry a silicone fold-up bowl if you don't want to clank it around in your trunk. They have those. Get at least, 100-ounce silicone bowl. Bring a few gallons of water for mixing. And that's all you really need. And then what you do is mix it up. You can mix a small batch at first, right? For what I like to call the eggshell. So you want to put a real thin, lightweight eggshell. You don't just dump a bunch of stuff in your print, because prints are really rare. You don't want to ruin it, right? Prints are rare. Take your time, get an eggshell in there. And then once that kind of hardens, then you can do your big dump of then mix the big batch up. So eggshell first, then the big dump. But this stuff, unlike plaster, it is not soft. Plaster of Paris is a joke, right?
It sounds like it compared to this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this stuff's amazing. And there's other brand names. They have like Ultra Cal and blah, blah, blah. Look, as far as I'm concerned, it's a bunch of marketing crap. I don't know what it is. You don't need that. Just get Hydrocal.
Just get the Hydrocal.
Hydrocal.
Bulk.
That's all you need. And yeah, I've heard about spraying spray foams and this and that, and nothing's
No.
Hydrocal.
Just get the Hydrocal.
If you want it's what I do, and that's what I promote. I've not found anything better. Next week, I'm going to talk about how to scan casts, or scan the footprints better. So I'll share some really cool little tricks and tips on that. And that'll be next week. So get yourself a 25-pound bag. Don't leave home without it because tracks are so rare. And I do hear about people all the time. Oh, I didn't have any casting material. Well, and if you can't afford 10 pounds, get 5. If you can't afford 5, get 1. Like 1 pound, you can get it for $3.50. You know what I mean?
Right. Get what you can afford.
Friends, and buy it and split it up.
Yeah,
Don't
split
leave,
it between a
but
group.
don't leave home without this. Very important.
You want to
And
be
once
able
again,
to collect the evidence.
Don't leave home because when you do find tracks, it may be the only time in your life you ever found them. I've only found them one time in my whole life. That's how rare it is, right? Okay, that's it. That's it for Tech Breakdown.
We going on to trivia? We're gonna stump me.
I was gonna I've heard a few good jokes, and I was just kind of curious.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna try to make you laugh. See if I can.
For
You seem kind
sure.
of somber today. There you go. We haven't seen much of smiling. You seem a little somber. So why did the man?
Wait. We got to cue the
No, we don't.
bumper.
It's too late. You're too late.
Come on. I
You're
really
losing
want
it, dude.
I so want to
Go
play.
ahead. Jesus.
All right. We're gonna do it.
That's a short bumper. Oh, Alex, I'm going to try to make you laugh.
Yes.
Try. You can even try not to smile if you want. How did the man fall in the well?
I don't know.
He didn't see that well. It's bad. What kind of pants did the psychic wear? What kind of pants did the psychic wear?
What kind of pants?
Pair of normal pants.
Pair of normal.
Pants. Okay. How do you organize a space party?
How do you?
You plan it. Planet.
Planet.
Oh, that's a fakey laugh. All right. I heard a friend of mine just fainted right on the luggage carousel at the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't you want to know how he's doing?
How is he doing?
He's coming around.
Oh.
He'll be okay. He's coming around. Okay. Today I learned French fries weren't originally cooked in France. I found out they were cooked in Greece.
Oh.
Today I invented a thought-controlled air freshener. Thought-controlled air freshener.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Sense.
Makes
Sense.
Yeah. I heard today they might add hide and seek as one of the events at the Olympics, but they're having a hard time finding players. You didn't even get that one.
I did.
You did not. They're going to add hide and seek to the Olympics. They're having a hard time finding good players because they're hiding. You get it?
Yeah, because they're good at hiding.
Yeah. I just found out my buddy was a ghost.
Oh yeah? How?
I knew the moment he walked through the door.
Oh.
Why did the crab cross the road?
Why?
He didn't. He used the sidewalk.
Oh, because he sidewalks.
What do you call a chicken who stares at lettuce?
What?
A chicken sees a salad.
Caesar salad. Like a
Caesar salad.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Dumb.
There's one thing that always makes you throw up. It's when you
What?
hang. It's when you hang your dartboard from the ceiling.
Because you gotta literally throw up.
I have a horse called Mayo, and sometimes Mayo neighs.
He nays a horse's name, mayonnaise.
Yeah, anyway, that was bad. We got the fakey Alex laugh. Oh my God, you laughed harder at me saying your laugh was fakey. All right. Quick, this is going to be really quick trivia. I'm going to go right into trivia. You can throw up your trivia thing.
All right, guys.
It's going to be just true or false.
We're smashing this bumper.
I'm an expert at overthinking things that I shouldn't. You come across as a cool guy, someone who's the opposite.
Let's really stump Alex.
That damn bumper is way too long. All right. These are all true and false. Who wants to play against Alex? Just one person. First person says, yes, that'll be the person that'll play against Alex. True or false? That's it. Super simple. And it's on cougars.
I know all about cougars.
Yeah, right. You do not.
Oh, the animal.
There's no takers. There's tons of people in chat and there's no taker. Who wants to play against Alex? Come on. Don't be afraid. He doesn't know crap about cougars. All right. Nixon wants to play. Good. All right. You ready, Nixon? Okay. So the cougar is the third largest big cat on the planet. True or false? Give your answers quick, guys.
True.
Alex says true. What say you, Nixon? You just do T or F. Let's see here. Alex says true. Nixon says false. Nixon's right. They are the second largest cat. Jaguars are the first. We're talking the Western Hemisphere here. I should have said that. All right. Do cougars eat insects? True or false? True or false? Do cougars eat insects? True or false? I mean, actually hunt them and eat them.
False.
Alex says false. Nixon says true. I think no, and that's his old answer. No, is that your new answer, Nixon? Yeah, I get it. Okay. I can't keep track. Alex, would you keep track?
I'm trying.
It's true. They do eat insects. Right? They're an ambush predator and they largely hunt deer, but they also eat rodents and insects. I didn't even know that. Okay. Cougars have more names than any other animal. True or false?
True.
True. Nixon, okay, he says true too. Let's see if you're both true. Yes, true. They call them pumas, catamount, painters, panthers, ghost cats, mountain screamers, Mexican American lion, mountain lion, and blah, 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 cougar. Yep, they have a ton of names. Okay. Can cougars live almost anywhere north/south in America? True or false? Anywhere in America.
True.
Alex is true. What say you, Nixon? What say you? He says true. You're both right.
Oh,
I think you're one behind though, Alex. He's winning.
Oh no.
He's one ahead of you. Cougars do not roar. True or false?
False.
Nixon, what say you? True or false? And what did you say, Alex? False?
False.
True. They don't roar. Despite a long list of names referring to the sounds that they make, they don't roar like a lion. Okay, they scream, but they don't roar. So he's 2 ahead of you now.
Next question.
They can run faster than 55 miles per hour. True or false?
False.
They can run faster than 55 miles an hour. True or false? Yeah, Nixon, they do purr. So Alex said false. False. You're both right. So that negates each other. They apparently can only run 50 miles an hour. Damn quick, though, right?
That's very fast.
50 miles an hour. Hell yeah.
As fast as I can run.
Yep, that's their top speed. But mainly they run 40 miles an hour. All right. Never try to run away from a mountain lion. That's the tip you're going to learn from that little trivia. You're not going to get away from them. I said Kluger. What's wrong with me? Kluger. Cougars have claw marks in their prints. True or false? So when you see a cougar print, will you see claw marks in them? True or false?
False.
Alex says false. What say you, Nixon? He says false too. You're both right. They do not leave claw marks in their tracks. Just like a cat, they retract them, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do leave kind of a distinctive M shape in their paw,
M shape,
which makes the tracks pretty easy to identify. Okay, they are apex predators, meaning the top predator, in their environment. True or false?
True.
Alex says true. What say you, Nixon? I wonder if Nixon's cheating, looking at other people's answers. He hasn't answered yet. He's thinking. Come on, Nixon. True or false? Are they the apex predators? Did he answer and I just
Maybe missed it?
I might have. Just do it again. Answer it again. True or false? I don't see his answer. He said he already answered true. Are there apex predators? And what did you say, Alex? True? Yeah, you did. You said true.
Yeah.
The true answer is false. They are actually killed by and hunted by grizzly bears. Well, kill cougars. So the answer is false. But you both had the same answer, right?
Yeah.
So you both got it wrong. Babies have spots in green eyes. True or false?
False.
Alex says false. I got to watch this a little closer. False. Yeah, you're both right. They have blue eyes. Like bear cubs have blue eyes. Okay? Let's see here. They hold cougars. I shouldn't say they. Cougars hold the record for the highest jump by a mammal. By any mammal, the highest jump. They hold the record for the highest jump by any mammal. True or false?
I'd say that's true.
Alex says true. What say you, Nixon? True or false? They can jump higher than any other mammal. True. So you said, what did you say? True, Alex?
I said true, yeah.
The answer is true. You're both right. They can jump 23 foot high from a standstill. Think about that. Straight up 23 feet. That is freaky. I mean, that's really freaky to me. Think about climbing a tree up there 23 feet, thinking you're safe, and this thing just leaps and gets you just in one leap. Damn. No reaction, Mr. Alex?
That's a long way.
I'm like, did I put you in a trance?
With your voice.
Some dog breeds were created to guard specifically against cougars, and these dogs are called Irish Shepherds. True or false? They were bred to just guard against cougars.
Yeah, I could see that.
So
True.
true, okay. And what says Nixon? False. Nixon is right, and he has now won. He has stumped Alex. He has beat Alex. The answer is false. The actual animal that they bred is the Anatolian Shepherd. There's not even an Irish Shepherd in the world. I made that up. That's not even a real dog. I don't.
It's not.
I
It
just
sounds like
made
a
it
real
up.
one.
Oh my
It's
God.
creative.
So good job, Nixon. You have won nothing except the fact you beat Alex. So next week, get ready to beat Alex. And I see we have Paul. Hi, Paul. We're going to be with you in just a few minutes. You have just enough time to get a drink of water. So let's run through these clips really quick, and then we're going to bring Paul on.
All right, I'm gonna fire off that bumper and let's get to it, guys.
All right. Clip 1. I suppose I can come back on, right? There I am. I'm here. Clip 1. No sound. This is a dreaming gorilla. He must be dreaming something romantic. Look at the expression on his face. Happy Le Pew. No reaction from Alex.
I'm just trying to, take it all in.
He's dreaming about kissing. All right, clip 2, no sound. This is definitely the biggest rodent in the world. This thing's got to be over 100 pounds. Clip 2, no sound. Check this bad boy out. Now, we've all seen capybaras, but this is like a huge one. Look at that dude.
Wow, that's bigger than a lot of house cats.
What? 5 times bigger than
You ever seen a chubby house cat?
Not that big, dude. They can get big, but not that big.
Yeah, I know.
I know Blaine's cat's getting pretty big.
Oh, he's about that size.
Oh my God. Clip 3. Enough of that crap. Clip 3. Sound is good. We're all aware of the Starliner debacle, right? I'm sure most people have heard. They went up for 8 days and they might be up there like months and months. Could you imagine?
Being stuck up there.
I would be PO'd, but looks like they're having a good time. Anyhow, but there's something going on up there that the general public doesn't know. Go ahead and play this. Sound is good.
So we all know Starliner, the Boeing spacecraft that left on June 5th and has been stranded in space for 12 weeks. Well, they finally give it a come home date of September 6th, but it will have no astronauts on it. But something strange is happening in the Starliner. The astronauts are starting to hear a noise coming through the speaker of the Starliner. Listen to this video.
Houston on 2, I've got a question about the Starliner.
Houston's with you, Butch. Go ahead.
There's a strange noise coming through the speaker, and I didn't know if you could connect into the Starliner and let me keep mic and let you hear it. I don't know what's making it, but I don't know if it's something that maybe connected between here and there, making that happen. But anyway, can you do that?
We can configure that, Butch. Give us a minute, and I'll call you back when it's ready.
Okay.
Station Houston on 2. We're configured for audio via hardline and CST. If you want to give us a call.
Okay, I'm at Starliner, and how do you read?
5x5. How many?
Okay, I'm gonna keep the mic up next to the speaker.
Copy.
Hear that?
At negative, Butch. We did not hear anything.
There you go.
All right, Butch. That one came through. It was kind of like a pulsing noise, almost like a sonar ping.
I'd be creeped out.
I'll let y'all scratch your heads and see if you can figure out what's going on. Here we go.
All right, enough of that. Weird. Yeah, could you imagine if they're? I wonder if they make them sign a waiver of liability. If you're an astronaut, and they do wonder, are they getting paid? What if they're getting paid $100 an hour? That'd be a lot of money after 8 months, wouldn't it? Anyhow. All right, clip 4, no sound. These are Star Wars animals for sure. Go ahead and play it. These are real. These are Nuparian goats. How'd you like to have ears like that, Alex?
That is some alien ears.
Huh? You'd be stepping on them.
Right? You would.
There's just so many weird animals. And obviously they've been probably bred to get these long floppy ears. So it's a Nuparian goat. All right. It's from the Middle East. All right. Clip 5. Sound is good. And speaking of big and long, these are the biggest damn horns I have ever seen. They got to be 8-10 foot. I wouldn't play this sound.
Yeah.
Go ahead and play it, though. Look at these things. It's insane.
They're huge.
I sleep on my side. I'd have to give that up, wouldn't I?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Unless you dig a hole in the ground.
God, those are just, it's crazy. Can you imagine the damage that could do to somebody?
Brutal.
Swiping sideways against you. All right. Clip 6. Sound is good. These are some really strange clouds.
This is real.
Probably would have to say I've never seen. Go ahead and play it.
Straight from a horror movie. It is? No, I'm just saying it looks like one. And it's moving.
You ever seen clouds like that?
I know.
No.
Guys.
Pretty weird.
That's super weird.
They look like little mini tornadoes.
Right.
They could be spin downs. I studied it. I'm thinking of some really cold air, with a lot of moisture that's kind of sagged.
Okay. Yeah, the spin
Sky
down.
can do some weird things, man. All right. Clip 7 is just kind of funny. I thought it was cute. Sound is good. This guy tries to mimic exactly the stick figure on the signs. The goofy crosswalk signs. That's just funny.
Yeah, that's how I walk.
Yeah, that was creative. I give the guy credit. Simple video. It's funnier than hell. Have you ever heard of leucistic, Alex? Ever heard of leucistic before?
No.
A leucistic animal?
What is that?
It is it's a white animal, but non-albino. It's not an albino. Here's a leucistic raven. Go ahead and play it. Sounds good.
So, Robin, this is Buddy.
Yeah, and Buddy is he's a black raven, but because he's
Isn't that cool?
Yeah,
he's white, which
it's so
is much rarer
unique.
than an albino. And he doesn't have pink eyes; he's got powder blue eyes.
He's got blue eyes.
These birds are very rare. There's a handful of them alive in the world, and we have 3 of them.
It's leucistic.
Never ever has one made it through the first season in the wild.
All right, that's good.
They got out
Thanks.
because of the lack of.
Excuse me. Clip 9, sound is good. And I've done this to move like heavy, even salt bags, like for the softener. Sometimes they deliver 100-pound bags. Instead of lifting them, I just kind of rock them back and forth. Go ahead and play this.
Watch carefully. With just 3 ropes, you can move a 5-ton statue forward.
5 tons.
Effortless, without much force. How
Let's
does this
rock it.
It turns out this replicates the ancient method of moving large stones. 3 ropes support the statue's weight. 2 ropes pull it forward from the sides, tilting the statue slightly forward. The 3rd rope stabilizes it from behind, preventing it from falling. By pulling in unison, using the statue's center
All
of
right,
gravity
we got it.
starts to
That's
wobble
enough
it.
of that crap.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's how I get my rock
That's it.
salt in, too.
Yeah, that's how they moved me out of when I ate my Labor Day dinner. Oh man, I got done with that dinner. I was floating, Alex. It was so good. On Labor Day.
Oh, yeah.
Should have come over, man. You missed a good one.
It sounds like it.
All right, clip 10. I don't know. Do you have that bonus clip? This is weird. Sounds good. It's the last one. Bring Paul on. This will surprise you. This is like something I've never seen.
Watch out, Zach. It's going to spin over.
Now watch.
There's the doggy.
They had to rescue their dog. Climbed into the top of a hollow tree and couldn't get out.
But Dad, I didn't get the squirrel. What happened to the squirrel, baby?
All right,
the squirrel got away.
We got the idea.
Whoa.
Can you imagine?
Yeah,
those guys are just all laid back. Like, we'll just cut the tree down. Dog will just walk out. That's just what it did. All right. So we're going to bring Paul G. Buckner on. So Paul G. Buckner, he's a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. He's an author, musician, native of Oklahoma. He's an Oklahoman. Is that such a thing? Oklahoman?
I think so.
It's like us, we're Minnesotans. Okay. And he's an avid outdoorsman. The oral traditions of his Cherokee family drove him to collect folk tales, stories of those he met in his travels across the U.S. Many stories have been passed down through several generations, and it is these stories that provide inspiration for his writings. Paul grew up in the foothills of the Ozark Mountains, and as a young boy, he spent many summers in the woods, on the lakes, the creeks, the rivers, hunting, fishing, and camping. Those experiences led him to a deep respect for the outdoors and traditional ways. And I'm sure Paul has chainsawed plenty of trees down that he found a dog in. Do you think so?
A couple.
Dogs? The dog in every hollow tree. Anyhow, but like to welcome Paul. Are you going to play that disclaimer? We have to do that.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go to a quick,
we're
30
going to go to a break.
and
All right,
then we'll be right back.
It's like 4 seconds. All right.
It's finally here by award-winning author Maxim W. Furek. A must-read for all interested in the Bigfoot mystery. Featuring IBT technology. Available from Amazon and Hangar One Publishing. Order your copy of The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot today.
Welcome, Paul.
There he is.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
So I don't recognize you now with your damn hat and your headphones.
I've been outside in the sun today, so.
See, I was on vacation the last time you were on, wasn't I, Alex? Where was I?
Yes. Yeah.
Ilse filled in for me. Where was I?
Were you up north?
I don't know where. Maybe it was at Snell last year.
You might have been.
I'll bet you. Anyhow, it's good to meet you, Paul.
Wow,
it's good
nice
to meet
you.
you. So, okay. First question I always got to ask. Have you had any Bigfoot experiences personally? Anything?
Yeah, a couple of things, actually. I think that's what got me into this whole thing anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, can you share those?
Sure. And Alex may be familiar with this because we talked about it. The very first thing that ever happened to me when I was a kid, my dad worked construction with my uncle, and they built houses. And one summer, my cousin and I, we were probably about 11 years old or so, about 1979, 1980.
Oh, we
Oh,
lost
no.
Oh, no.
Sorry, Paul. You broke up for just a second.
Yeah, you froze. Your internet connection froze. Start over. Okay, so it was 1980.
Okay. Yeah. And my cousin and I, we went to work with our dads, and we're about 11 years old or so. And that morning, we get to this house that they're building, and we're just messing around. We're playing, just doing whatever we're doing, picking up and doing whatever we're told to do. Basically, keeps us out of mom's hair during the summer, right? Well, I don't know. It was getting pretty close to lunchtime, and one of the neighbors came over and asked for my dad. For my cousin Dal's dad. And this was obviously before cell phone days, but everybody kind of knew everybody back then and where they were working. So my aunt had called this neighbor to get my uncle to come home right away. So I remember when this happened, he came and got our dads, and they ran outside to the truck and told us to get in. So we get in, and we take off. And it's not too far away, but they live in a little community called England Hollow, and they live up on on a hilltop. And there's the little farmstead that they had up there was. Like I said, right on that hilltop and surrounded by pastures, but just on the other side of the pastures, maybe a few hundred yards, were tree lines. And we pull up to the house, and we get out and go to the door. And my aunt apparently was hiding in the back room because my uncle was pounding on the door to try to get in. But she finally came to the door. She was just scared witless, I mean, she was just shaking and shivering. And my cousin was also there. His little sister was there with her. Apparently what had happened is that she said that she was outside hanging the laundry. And it was in the back of the house, and she could see the pasture right behind her. And she was just hanging the laundry, just doing whatever she's doing, and she noticed this figure standing in the field. It was quite a ways away, and she just figured that it was, one of the cows. And she didn't really pay any attention to it. But a few minutes later, she noticed that it had moved a little bit closer to her, and she's just kind of keeping a little eye on it, from time to time. And she said she had bent down to get some more laundry to hang it back up. And all of a sudden she saw it walking, and it was walking on two legs because it had walked back across toward the barn. And
so in her mind, she's seeing a walking cow.
Right. But now it's on two legs. So
that can't be.
Exactly. So that pretty much spooked her. She ran into the house. She got her daughter, my other little cousin, and they ran to the back room and hid back there. And they called the neighbor to get my uncle to come up there. Well, after she told us this story, my uncle and my dad, they, of course, being from Oklahoma out in the country, they grab a couple of guns and they go outside to the barn. And me and my cousin Dow were, right there with them. So we go out to the barn and looking around and stuff. Well, I remember there was one, maybe a partial footprint or something that they had talked about. But the funny thing is, she said when she looked back out there at one point, and she saw that this creature, this person, this the calves, and ran off down the field with it. Okay, so we get out there, and my uncle says, "Yeah, sure enough, there's one of the calves missing." Now these calves, sure, I could pick one up and carry it, a little ways. But I'm not going to just take off, with a calf over my shoulders or under my arms or something and step over a fence and disappear with it. I might be able to carry it across the corral or something, but that's going to be about it. You know, it's so. But he said, yeah, it was definitely missing. So we took off. We went through the fields. We went through the woods. We went all around there, and we never really found anything of it. We never found any trace of this or the calf again. So, but she was very adamant about what she saw, and it was tall, large, it's just solid black. So, you know, that was the first thing that ever happened to me that was just really got me.
And how old were you, Paul, when that happened?
I was about 11 years old or so about then.
Yeah, I mean I can imagine that had a big effect on you. Like, holy.
Oh yeah.
You know, you suddenly realize the world is not what you thought it was.
Yeah, it was quite exciting, really. And you know, I think it was around that same time when the movie, of course, everybody refers back to The Legend of Bobby Creek.
Yeah.
So I was just fascinated with that stuff. Anything that I could get, you know, my hands on, I wanted to know about it. I want to hear about it. I want to see about it because I think that's part of our DNA as Cherokee. We love stories. So.
Very cool. Very good. Paul, can you come just a skinch closer to your mic, to your screen? It'll help the audio just a bit. Get rid of a little bit of the room echo. That helps.
How's that?
Yeah, that's better. So what was your second event?
The second event. Well, this now it wasn't me personally, but this is what really got me involved in looking into this phenomenon even more. Was about that time. I don't know. It was probably within 6 months to a year's time from that event that there was a break-in at a chicken house in Dutch Mills, Arkansas. And my dad knew the guy that had reported this break-in. And what it was he was a chicken farmer. And apparently this creature had broken into his chicken house, ripped the door right off the hinges. And we're talking the big open garage door type things. This is one of those big industrial commercial chicken houses. But it had ripped that right off. And he went out there because he had heard a commotion late at night. And he took a shotgun out there to find out what was what. And that he said that this creature had just ripped the door off and stole chickens and took off, but he never had a shot at it. So, but that was reported in a couple of different newspapers there. And like I said, my dad knew him and didn't think that, you know, he was any type of a person to make something up like that. So, but that really got me really, really curious about it because I'm thinking now, since this happened in such a short span of time, maybe this is real.
Yeah.
You know, maybe there is, and it wasn't that far away from where my aunt and uncle lived. As the crow flies, maybe 20 miles.
What part of Oklahoma did all this happen?
We're in the northeast corner, over by, Fayetteville, Arkansas. University of Arkansas is maybe 40 minutes from this area.
Yeah. Okay. The Arkansas and Oklahoma both have there's a huge history of Bigfoot there. And I know you've written about, many stories. What is there a certain story that kind of haunts you or really that you think about often? You know, we've all heard that one story that kind of like, it just keeps reminding us about how weird these creatures are. Is there a story you can recall that?
There is one in particular. A guy that I interviewed, they were hunters. A lot of the folks that I've interviewed before happen to be hunters because obviously they're more often than anybody else.
Yeah.
But they were in Colorado, and they were doing some hunting up there. But it was a lease that they had, and there were 3 of them altogether. And while they were up there, they finally found the place where they were going to, and it was pretty secluded, but the directions that they had were really good at the time. And this was again before cell phones, were so everybody had one. So they get out there and they're setting their camp up, and they have one of the big canvas tents that they have the small wood stove in there for the heat. And I mean, they're set up. They've got the big trailer full of their camping gear and all this. So, they're set to stay there for a good long week. And it's obviously cold and windy and snow on the ground. Of course, this is Colorado. And this is a place where they've always wanted to go to, and they finally got that lease. So they get up there, and where they turn in off the road, he said it was quite a ways back in there, and because there's just so much, just vast territory out there. So after they get their camp set up, that next morning, they get up to go hunt, and they're looking at their topo maps and everything, and they decide on where they're going. There's a small creek, and one of the guys wanted to go to the other side of that creek, and there was some contours that was really interesting to him, that thought that it may funnel the deer in. They were hunting mule deer, I think. And so he thought that he would go over there, and they wanted to be far enough away from each other that there was, no a safety issue too with rifles and stuff, but close enough still that they could help each other take anything out, any game that they may have taken. Well, he said he gets up early that next morning, and it's still dark outside. So he's got his flashlight, and he's got his backpack with him and his rifle, and he finds this a little ford where he can cross the creek, and he gets over to the other side, and there's a game trail on the other side that he finds, and he starts following that up the kind of an incline, little hill. He said it wasn't a mountain, but it was a good hill. And while he was walking, he's just got this small headlamp on, just attaches to his hat, and just trying to be really quiet and still be able to get to the place where he wanted to hunt quickly before the sun came up. So he's getting to the crunch in the snow. He thought he heard an echo. Uh-oh, did we lose you?
You're back.
Okay. But yeah, so he's walking through the snow, and he hears this, sounds like an echo of his own footsteps. And he would stop and listen, and the footsteps would stop. So, and he's thinking, is there some sort of a rock cliff behind me or beside me or something that I'm not seeing that it may be echoing off of, or sound just playing with him? But as he's walking, it starts getting a little bit more daylight. Of course, when you're in the woods, and even when the sun is up, it's still kind of dark. So he can see that the sky is starting to gray, lighten up a little bit. But he's also carrying with him his climbing tree stand. I don't know if you're familiar with those or not, but it's a two-piece stand that just wraps around the tree, and you can use it and shimmy up a tree. And you can go up just as high as you want to, as long as there's no branches in the way, or the tree will support you. So he finally gets to his tree, and he gets set up, and he's got his rifle on the ground, his pack on the ground, and he puts the tree stand on the tree, gets clamped in. And this is quite the endeavor to try to get one of these tree stands on the trunk of the tree with both parts, and then you step inside of it, and then you kind of inchworm your way up that tree. So he said he finally got up, and it was 25 feet how high he was up, because that's how long his rope was. And he pulls his pack up, and he pulls his rifle up, and he's sitting there, and he hears something in the brush And he's thinking, okay, well, there's something out there, but it's probably not a deer, because deer are usually pretty stealthy and usually pretty quiet, especially when it's snowing outside. So he's really watching and looking, and he hears this rustle again, not too far away, but he can't see anything. But he knows that there was something or somebody. When the sun came up and he could see, he knows that there was something or somebody out there that was following along with him. And he thought, well, okay, maybe it was a moose or an elk or anything like that, because this is Colorado. He said that there was no rock cliff face or anything like that. It wasn't any kind of an echo that could have been either. So as he's sitting there and he's hearing this, he's really looking around, and he sees a flash of orange. And this is what was kind of fascinating to me. He said a flash of orange. And the orange that he described was like that of an orangutan. And so he's sitting there and he sees this flash, and then he sees something else or hears something else on the other side, and he hears these and he described them as these loud banging sounds, wood knocks, and they're echoing, going back and forth. And he said that was really scary. That was really spooky for him. And
I had a question, Paul. Did the
Sure.
does the hunter change his approach to future hunting trips? Like, do they even hunt anymore?
He says he still does, but he doesn't go to Colorado.
Have you heard of other? Is this like common in Colorado? Like, how rare is this, or is this a hotbed, do you think, of activity?
No, the area where he was at, which is not too far from Spanish Peaks, there was and I've been up there a few different but yeah, there's some of the locals and stuff and some of the bars, they have a lot of good stories about their different encounters and things that, and they swear that it's Bigfoot country. So it's pretty prolific up there.
All right, finish your story, Paul.
Sure. So when he sees this orange flash, and then he hears all these sounds, these wood knocks coming from right side, then left side, then further out okay, now he's thinking something out there is they're talking back and forth somehow. Is that somebody? Did he stumble on something that he shouldn't have stumbled on? So now he's really getting spooked, and he climbs down, and he all the way down though, he sees what it sees something else, and it was much bigger than the first time when he just saw a small flash. He saw what he thought was an orange person. That's what he described it as, an orange person. But he said it had really long arms and really long legs, but it was not super broad. It was more very thin and nimble. And when he saw it, he said it jumped. It had jumped over a particular rock and over this small stream. And he said this thing, it looked like it jumped 30 feet. And when it jumped, he said it looked like an Olympic long jumper, how it stretch out like that. And
well, maybe maybe the cougar is not the longest jumping mammal. 30 feet, holy
30
crap.
feet.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, well,
I have heard other stories. Okay, keep going.
And you know how hunters are, they could be but I don't know. He said after he saw that, he really started trying to move down even a lot quicker, and he's fumbling with everything, and he gets down finally to the bottom of the tree, and he doesn't even bother taking that tree stand off. he just jumps out of it, unhooks his harness, and he grabs his pack and his rifle, and he takes off. He said, yeah, sure, I've got a rifle with me, but the way this thing was moving, there was just no way I was going to draw a bead on this thing, and it looked too human. He had an orange man that was 8 foot tall and skinny. He said it could have been a professional basketball player. But he said he saw that, and then he heard what was probably another one on the other side of him. So he's taking off now down the trail, trying to find his way back. And these things are following him. And every now and then they will cross over in front of him, way up ahead of him. And then he knows that they were behind him too. And so they're just covering a lot of ground so super fast in this snowy environment. And he finally gets back to the place where he crosses the creek and stuff. And he is just scared out of his wits. But one of the things that happened, he said, this is what really scares me about this whole encounter. This is when I finally got back to the campsite. It was almost dark. And he said he hadn't been in that tree stand an hour after sunup when all this started happening. So he said, somehow I lost several hours of that day before I even got back to the campsite. So I don't know what happened to me, why I was so scared. But when I got there, I just got inside the camper or the tent, and I waited there. And a little while later, my buddies had come into camp, and it was nightfall. So he lost all that time.
How much time do you think he
lost?
Well,
it had to be
hopefully he unfreezes.
Yeah.
6 o'clock. So you're looking at
it was. So you want to back up just a second here. So you said 6 o'clock.
Sure.
We
So
just
how many
lost it
hours
for a second.
do you think he
Oh, I'm
lost?
sorry. So
you froze up.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, it had to be at least 7-8 hours of the day of that entire day.
Lost.
Yeah, just lost. Couldn't remember anything about it other than he was making his way back. He said, I don't remember losing that amount of time. He said, I thought that I left that tree and I made a beeline straight back to camp. He said, but when I got back to camp, it was getting dark.
That's kind of high. I mean, that's a lot of missing time.
Yeah.
That's not like 20 minutes can freak somebody out. Like what, but 7 hours? That's crazy.
Well, what is interesting about that? One of my experiences later at a place called Honubby Creek, something very similar to that. And so I kind of understand what he's saying in a way, but I don't know.
Well, I have to, it's maybe perfect timing to relay this story. We were driving into Canada. You have to drive for like 12 hours. And part of the trip takes you straight through the forest, like 100-mile stretches at a time. No gas stations, no homes, not one home, nothing. No signs hardly. I mean, there's not anything. And we're driving, and we're about halfway through this 100-mile stretch. And I see up ahead of us what is it I can identify as a coyote. But it's frozen. Like when I say frozen, I don't mean cold frozen, but it's in mid-step and it's frozen. And I'm like, what? And so Joe sees it, the guy who's driving. I'm a passenger. And I'm kind of like freaked out. Like it was like a taxidermy coyote somebody had set there. But it looked alive. It just, I don't know. I just thought, why would somebody put a taxidermy coyote to the side of the road? So I called the car behind me and I said, Chris, Bud, Adam, did you guys see the frozen coyote at the side of the road? because I'm talking, it was like 2 feet from our car or our truck as we whizzed by it. And they said, no, we were too busy watching the frozen raven in the air.
The frozen raven.
I'm like, what are the chances that I spot this coyote and just me and Joe both in mid walk, and they were looking at a raven that had frozen in the air.
Wow.
So there you go. I don't know what to do with that info. I'm just thought it was good timing to tell that story.
Wow, maybe a glitch in the matrix.
Yeah, that the forest is got to be. I mean, there's just things that happen, right? And we're gonna talk more about that. But that was my first experience with some weird time glitch in the forest.
Yeah.
Or it was all coincidence. It was completely coincidental that they saw a frozen raven and I saw a frozen coyote. Whatever, could have all just been BS. But we both had, they had witnesses and I had my witnesses. So
Had you
anyhow,
been drinking anything?
no, I was drinking some root beer. But the thing is, when you have a person with you and you both see the same thing, it's you weren't hallucinating. But in our case, somebody could have put a stuffed coyote in mid-step and put it at the, right on the white line. But the fact it didn't move when we drove by it, and who's going to put an expensive stuffed coyote at the side? For what reason?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the raven?
Raven in midair. Yeah, how do you do that? Yeah, it's kind of weird. So the forest is mysterious. Did he ever come to a peaceful ending with this? This missing time and this creature, or is he still wrestling with it?
He is still wrestling with that because we talk every now and then, and he says, he still swears by it that the sun hadn't been up an hour when all this started happening, and he got down out of that tree and took off.
Yeah.
And he said, just no idea what happened to the time.
Yeah.
And it's just something that still bothers him. He said, he still goes hunting here in Oklahoma. And he goes down south. He's got some family down south in Alabama. He goes down there. He says, but, I don't like to really go camping a whole lot. It's just something that just really, he said it was traumatizing to him because his buddies didn't really believe him at first, but another part of this is they finally got him to go back with them the next day, or it may have been a day after, to go get his tree stand.
Right.
Because he had left it there. And when they got to it, it had been ripped off of that tree. I mean, twisted and just mangled and tore up. And this is an aluminum frame tree stand that's strong enough to hold, 250 pounds of weight. So for the strength to just rip that off the tree and throw it into the bushes, I don't know.
So how has this story influenced your Bigfoot investigations?
Well, that's one of the things that the time loss phenomenon there. That's one of the things that I've really looked for a lot in different interviews and stuff. Because
have you found another one?
Well, like I said, it happened to me one time, but it was a little bit different situation down in Hodnubby Creek. And Hodnubby Creek is a hotbed for Bigfoot sightings, or it used to be back many years ago. And there was a report of the siege at Hodnubby Creek about a cabin down there that was a Bigfoot had trapped some men inside, as the story goes. Well, I've been going down to Hodnubby Creek for 25, 30 years with friends that have a cabin there. But we'd go down there and we'd just ride four-wheelers all over the mountain. And it's a WMA there. There's a couple 100,000 acres. And
is there a way to tell the siege story of Hanobia quickly for the people that aren't familiar with it? Is there a way to kind of summarize it?
Well, I think that's it was really pretty cut and dry with their story that they were out in the woods, they were fishing and camping there in one of the little log cabins, and the men had stumbled across this creature, and they I don't know, they upset it somehow, and they all ran back to the cabin, and they didn't have four-wheelers or anything at the time. They're on feet, and they're camping.
Uh-oh, looks like you locked up again.
Oh no.
You're back.
You're back. Okay, sorry. But yeah, these three guys were out there just fishing and camping in this cabin, and they apparently upset this creature somehow when they came upon it, and it scared them back to the cabin, and they were trapped there because all they had was a shotgun, and that whole night the creatures, apparently there were more than one at this point, were throwing rocks at them, and hooping and hollering and just making weird, scary sounds, trying to break into the cabin. But the next day, they were able to find.
Oh no!
We're just having a time tonight.
Yeah, you know what happens a lot of times is a bunch of people start streaming movies. Everything checks out when you do your mic check. You were frozen too, Alex, just so you know.
Beautiful.
You're both frozen.
Oh, no.
There. Paul, unfrozen. Alex is unfrozen.
Yeah.
We're having our own time glitches, people. Oh, by the way, I want to clarify the Raven. Somebody goes, well, the Raven was going the same speed. No. You're not understanding. When we're talking like you're frozen, like you're right in, you're not moving. You're not gliding. You're not doing that.
Yeah.
You're just locked as if time stood still and you could bring a camera all the way around it, right? That's what we're talking about anyhow. And when you have more than one witness on that, it gets a little weird.
Yeah.
This wasn't a Raven. I mean, you can tell when a Raven's gliding next to your car and maybe going the same speed. No, this wasn't that kind of a deal. Anyhow,
has anything else ever happened like that before or after?
There was something weird when we went through that same area that happened the same time of year. Last year, we went through the same exact area. And last year, two of the guys saw try to picture an 8-inch fir tree or spruce tree, 8 inches in diameter, 60 feet tall, going end to end, all the way to the ground, swinging back and forth. Freaked them both out seeing this. Because we tried to do that with a tree with 5 guys. We couldn't even get the tree to even budge.
Oh, wow.
So what in the world was causing that strong to take this tree and shake it back and forth? We thought moose, no way, not a tree that big. And it was just like paranormal almost. I did not see it. It happened behind us. But what was interesting, it happened in that same exact stretch of road.
Wow.
So it's an interesting stretch. Yeah. And if I could remember, I'd give everybody the highway name. I don't know if it's 594, Highway 594. You have to, it's so many turns to get to where we were going, but there's this 100-mile stretch of road. There's not one house, not one gas station, not one town, nothing. I would not want to break in. No traffic. You never see a car. You never see another truck. You're alone. It's pretty freaky. So anyhow,
isn't that amazing though? Just how big this world really is when you think about it.
Yeah.
All those woods out there that nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah, and it's so unfriendly for a human to walk. Swamps and hills and streams and lakes and blowdowns, where the trees blow down so easy out there. I've told people, like, if I've up at Snow Grove, if the plane didn't come pick me up, I would never attempt to try to walk out of there. I would stay put and just make my life right there. As sad as that sounds, I would not try to escape because you would die doing it.
You think you won't make it very long?
You'd never make it. No, you wouldn't make it far. You'd die. It's just, the early fur trappers. I give them so much respect, but they followed. They stayed on the streams and the waterways.
Right.
Maybe they ventured a little ways, and they had a portage, and those portages were tough. The average fur trapper died in their 30s of hernias, 20s even, I've heard, because they had so many hernias from trying to carry their furs and stuff over those portages. So anyhow, but yeah, we live in a crazy world, and we're going to get into a little more high strangeness. And I want to qualify this. I don't jump to these weird conclusions ever, but I'm open-minded to it. When I see it, I put it in my gray basket, but I don't totally debunk it because, maybe there are things like portals and time glitches, and, we just, none of us know, right? And we don't know if Bigfoots are supernatural, whether they're just apes or just hairy humans, or they're aliens. We don't really know. We can say, it's bull crap. This is bull crap. Everything's bull crap to certain people. But I really think that we need to keep open to the possibilities, right, Paul?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the things that I have discovered is, everybody has their own truth. Sure. But there's too many coincidences for it not to be something to it.
Yeah. You may be right there, or it still may be just a bunch of coincidences. For instance, when we were up at Snell this year, everybody but me saw at least two orbs, I guess, red orbs, bright red taillight, as if there was car taillights zooming around the cabin at night. And every time I had my back turned, they were like, you don't want to know. And there'd be like two witnesses that would say, another red light just streaked by the window. And it's like, okay. And then on the last night, one of the guys saw an orb in the cabin, literally sitting on the cushion of the futon in the cabin. I didn't see it, but if I would have, it would be a little freaky. But here's what I don't do. I don't generally connect dots and say, well, if I see an orb and I see a Bigfoot, that they're connected. Because there's still there's a lot of anecdotal evidence for that they're connected, right? And there is a lot of it, but there's no hard evidence of it being connected. And so I don't jump to those conclusions. I'm still going after a very physical creature, but I don't know. I have no idea. I also know, Paul, I've been defeated and in getting the footage I want, right? I've been defeated and defeated. Although we came back with a lot of cool evidence this time, including physical evidence, including some amazing audio stuff, we came back with. But just doesn't rule out anything. So I'm open-minded. So let's talk about some of the more weird stuff that I know you like. I know you've written about in your latest book, which is combining the topics of UFO encounters and Bigfoot, correct?
Yeah, right.
Alex, do you want to throw the cover up if you have it handy of Paul's book, and we can talk a little bit more? There we go. Bigfoot, UFOs, and the paranormal. So we would have been a picture book crowd for your book this last weekend here when we were up at Snell, or the weekend before. I didn't see anything. It was one of the few times up at Snell I did not see any UFOs.
Wow.
because normally I'm the one that sees a lot of them. Or I'll make somebody stay up with me and we'll go sit by the fire. I make them stay there till we see one, and we always did. You know, they'd come real close to us and they'd go over the treetops. And no, we weren't drinking, and no, we weren't smoking anything. And we just, you know, drinking Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, and that's about it. I've never drank up at Snell. I just don't. I don't bring liquor up there. I don't drink up there. I'm serious because it's not the place to be drunk. I can tell you right now, if you go up there,
sounds dangerous.
You just don't bring liquor up there. You stay sober and you stay alert, and you know,
even just falling, right? Like,
just falling. Hilly. You could just be walking to the outhouse and die. It's that dangerous. You know, you got to be careful, because the reason I say it's dangerous, there's no medical help. Like we had Starlink, and yes, we could have actually made a call. But it would still take hours for them to get there, hours and hours, maybe days to get there. So you still could die. And I will say people have perished at Snowgrove right there. It's been a number of deaths because people are just, you know, they make a dumb mistake, or, you know, if you have a heart attack, you're not getting help. You got to be careful when you go there, which is, I brought my kids up there when they were, actually my girls. I think I never brought you, Alex, did I? To Snell? When you were little?
I was there once.
Yeah, you were little though.
Yeah.
And that was dumb. Because then we didn't have any sat phone. We had no way of, that was stupid of me, but I did it. You know, it was good for you guys. But you were really young. I remember bringing Blaine up there when he was little, you know, real young. And I remember fishing with Blaine up there. But anyhow, sorry, Paul. I digress. Let's talk about your book. What was your real motivation for writing that book?
Well, you know, I've written a couple of fictional novels, and based on Bigfoot and just action adventure, right? But I really had interviewed and talked to so many different people trying to find, you know, different takes and things about this to incorporate it into my writing. But the more that I talk to folks and stuff, I'm thinking, you know, there's got to be another platform for them to tell those stories and share those stories. So the interviews with them, and mainly the Native American, because in the Cherokee culture, we have a lot of stories about witches, like Spearfinger, but you know, just a lot of different types of stories and stuff. So are all those stories because they're real? That's what they believe, or we're just interested for the kids, or what have you? But I really wanted to get into that to see how that oral tradition has been passed down over the years, and just to see how much consistency there is within. And, you know, one of the things that you were talking about with the orbs, you know, the Cherokee do have a particular story about, and forgive me because I cannot pronounce the name, but the Nunnehi, or the Little People. There's also stories about the Immortals, and both of these are spirit people, and they would help. They would help you if you were lost in the woods. They would help you find your way back. There's stories like that that were, you know, passed down about people getting lost and you know, being found by these spirit people. And some of the things that are very consistent about that is these red glowing orbs in the forest, you know, that can lead people home or something. So that's I think that's the thing that I am really interested in, is finding those consistencies within those stories.
Yeah, and you know, the stories are so interesting, but what frustrates me is there's no way to research the weirdness.
Yeah.
It's really not, because it's not something that happens consistently, you know. Two researchers will call me and say, yep, portal opened up in the woods, and then this happened, and we saw it. We both saw it. that had closed, but it caught them off guard.
Yeah.
They could have filmed it, I guess, but they didn't. There's really just no way to research it. And maybe that'll change in the future, right? The high strangeness will change.
Yeah.
What is the weirdest paranormal Bigfoot story you've heard?
Oh, the weirdest paranormal.
Bigfoot. Had to do with
yeah. Well, there was a guide, a hunting guide that I talked to one time and interviewed, and this was something that was a little different because when he and his wife were out camping, and this was in Arkansas, just across the line at a place called Natural Dam, Devil's Den, that area there. Since he was a guide, he just took his wife camping one day, one weekend, and just wanted to get away from everything. And he went way back into the woods on a creek, and he was fishing. And while he was fishing, she was setting up the camp. And he said he'd caught several fish, and he had them on stringer in the water, and he'd walk down the creek and continue to fish. And when he came back to the fish, they were gone. They were just missing. They were somebody had untied them and taken off with them. So he's looking around. There's nobody around, but it's he's kind of upset about this. But he goes back to camp. Well, that night he's disturbed by something outside, and looks out. And
we lost you for just a second. It looks like you might be.
No, you're okay. Keep going, Paul.
You're okay.
He sees this white orb out there in the woods, and he thinks, okay, well, that's a flashlight. Somebody is out there trying to mess with us or something, because he thought, well, they stole my fish. Now they're just messing with us. They're gonna look around and see if they can't steal something from the campsite or something. So he gets up and he quietly goes out there, and the thing is, he says he could never catch up to the light. The light it didn't matter where he'd go, how far he'd get to it. It was still that same distance away, which was kind of odd, because if it had been a flashlight, he would have been able to catch up to him. But he said what was unique about the light was that it wasn't like a normal flashlight. Wouldn't it be, it'd be shining all around and stuff. It was just a white glowing orb.
It didn't light up the trees, for instance.
Right.
Okay.
No, not at all. So that kind of freaked him out a little bit. Well, that next morning he gets back to his tent, because he can't catch up to it. But he goes back and tells his wife, somebody was messing around out there in the woods. No big deal. Let's go to sleep. So the next morning they get up, and he sees that the camp had been gone through. And so now he's a professional guy. He's a woodsman, so he's used to sort of being out there in the woods and stuff. But he doesn't see any animal tracks whatsoever, nothing like that. And he said, the ground, where it was at, there should have been tracks, but there just wasn't. He had an ice cooler that had been opened up and food taken out of it. Some of the things scattered around. And he said that day went by without incident or anything, but he heard a commotion outside again. And once again, the same thing, this white orb out there. So he stays up this time back at the camp, but he doesn't go into the tent. He stays up and he just sits outside. And he's kind of keeping watch. And he hears this rustle campsite, and he's watching it, and he sees this silhouette that looks like a person, and he's going to hit it with the flashlight and scare him. Well, he said he stood up real slow and he hit the flashlight, and he said this was not a person. This was a Bigfoot. It was a creature that it had to be at least 9 foot tall, just covered in black hair. He said it looked him straight in the eyes and bolted so fast that it just like almost disappeared on him. And he never even heard it running through the woods. He said that pretty much spooked him, because he didn't really have he didn't have a gun with him or anything like that. They were just camping and fishing. But yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah,
and he
that's
swears
a lot of
by it.
orbs. Has
Yeah.
anybody ever reported red orbs and Bigfoot?
Not with Bigfoot. I've heard a few different stories of red orbs that help people find their way back that were lost.
What can
But not associated with Bigfoot.
Okay. Is there one you can tell real quick about a red orb? I'm curious, personally curious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Talk about red orbs.
Yeah. So down in Gans, Oklahoma, which is not far from here, it's still northeast Oklahoma. There's I went down there with some cousins of mine, and we were horseback riding. And one of the guys that we were riding with, he was having a hard time with something with his saddle or something, so he was at the barn longer than we were, and we took off. And where we were riding was just several hundred acres over this ranch, and he had never been here before. But we told him, just head down the road and catch up to us when you're ready. Well, time goes by, and here, 30 minutes later, he's still not caught up to us. An hour later, he's still not caught up to us, and we're all like, where in the world is he? Just went back to the house or something. Well, he didn't go back to the house. What had happened was he finally got his saddle fixed, and we had already left. He said maybe 15 or 20 minutes. And so he got on his horse and took off down the field to catch up to us. But he thought he was going to take a shortcut and cut across another stretch of woods and meet us on the other side. But he got lost. He couldn't find his way out. And about that time, he said that's when the storm came in. Now, we got back to the house before the storm hit, because we could see it coming in, obviously. And the clouds really started getting black, and we knew that horse is still gone. It's missing. So we're thinking, oh boy, where's he at? Well, he finally gets back to the house. But what had happened, his story is that when he got lost out there, he was scared to death. He couldn't find his way back. And he got off of his horse, and he was walking the horse. And when the storm hit, they just hung down and tried to let the rain get by. He said, but it was unrelentless. It just kept pouring. And so he was worried, scared. I think we were probably 14, 15 years old, something like that. And he said that's when he saw this red light, this red. And he thought, is that a house or something in the woods?
Okay, what did he say again? You cut out, Paul. What did he say?
Sorry,
again?
it was a red.
The house.
He saw a red orb. He said the size of it looked like a basketball, just a red orange glow.
Okay.
And
But had an
he
orange
thought, okay,
glow.
maybe that's a house. Well, he said it was red, but it was, he thought maybe a candle in the window or something weird like that, because otherwise it should have been a white light, but it was red or orange, just glowing out there. So he led his horse and started following it. And at one point he said he knew that it wasn't a window, because if he'd go down a ravine, the light was still there, and he'd come back up, the light was still there in the same distance away from him.
Gotcha.
But every time he would turn away to go a different direction, the light, he said, would come back and then moving back, not moving back, but it would it would come over to him in front of them. It slowly moved back the right direction that they needed to go. And they finally got their way back, and said the light just disappeared.
Wow.
So it led him home.
And this is kind of a personal story, because you knew him, and
yeah.
And did he say it was red or orange? I mean, was he clear on the color?
He said it was not just a bright red. It wasn't a dull red. He said it would kind of where you get dimmer and brighter at times.
Yep.
So he said,
interesting.
When it got brighter, it was more red. Pretty fascinating, especially when you think back about the Nunahee stories. You know, the little people that would help lead people, lost hunters and trappers back, that sort of thing. So some of those stories
pretty
kind of line up with those.
Alex, you got any cures for what's going on here with this cut down on the time?
One thing we could try, Paul, you're on your laptop, right? Paul? Can you hear me, Paul?
You just broke up.
If you wanna, you can even turn your camera off for a second. If you want to move right to where your Wi-Fi enters your house, we could give that a shot. It might just be breaking up. If you're willing to give that a shot, I bet you we could maybe get a much better connection. Although it's no guarantee. But we'd love to hear more of your story. You know, you're a great storyteller.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Why don't you? We're gonna. Alex will shut your camera off, or you can shut it off.
Yeah, I'll just
see if you know where the Wi-Fi is. Just try to get a little closer to it. Reposition. That might help. Might be worth it. There we go.
All right. So I remove, if you want to just move real quick to a different spot in your house.
Yeah.
So
Quint did ask, do you think emotions determine the color of the orb? Do you think? Well, it's a possibility. I've seen red ones, white ones, orange ones, and sparking ones. They all in the forest, ones that spark. And that's really weird. And I remember telling Adam about the sparking orb, and guess what? He saw one. I think it was last summer, a sparking orb. It was real near him, described it the same way we saw it. So I don't know. We have no idea what they are. And the government doesn't offer any explanations other than what, ball lightning? I think that's BS.
Yeah.
Ball lightning might account for some orbs, but not the ones I've seen. There's no way. Hey, Paul, you're back.
All right.
We'll try it and just see. It might help. It might help.
Yeah.
Sometimes people in the household too are streaming the latest high def Netflix movie, and that can hurt too. Okay, so he found his way back, and this orange orb was just dimming slow, and then coming back is what we gathered. Which is that's a weird story in itself. Have you heard any stories of an actual landed UFO or a UFO that's, bigger other than an orb, or they've all been just orb stories?
A lot of them have been just orb stories, but I think I told Alex this story here where my wife and I were driving back late one evening it was in the late fall. And we had pulled into town. We live in a small town called Stillwell at the time. And it was probably 11 at night. There's nobody around. The streets are pretty much dead. They've done rolled up the city sidewalks, but it's misting outside, and it's a little chilly. And I'm getting gas while she goes into the store to pay for it and get a drink or something, And during this time, I'm hearing this low hum. I mean, it's just resonating within me, and I'm looking around. There's no trucks around. You'd think maybe a diesel has started or something, big wheeler or something, but there's nothing around. And it keeps going. Well, I finished the gas. I put it back in, and I'm standing out there looking around, waiting on my wife to come back out, and it's just resonating in me. And
so we're talking almost
up.
like infrasonic type hum.
Yeah.
Like
It's
40 hertz or below. Okay.
Oh, 40 and below easily, because you feel it.
So
You
it's
know,
that low, like you can feel it in your chest.
Yeah. Yep. And I don't know what caused me to look up, but I looked up. And when I did, that's when I saw this. It was a UFO. It was a ship, because it wasn't hovering. It was slowly moving. And you could see underneath it. I mean, it looked like just gray metal. And it was like the shape of like a pyramid shape on the bottom. There was no lights on it, but the lights from town, reflected off the bottom of it. And I just stood there watching this thing. And my wife came out and she saw it too. She looking up, and this thing just finally just goes away. And it just, that low rumble just recedes as it moves off. And that was, it was not a plane. It wasn't a helicopter. Yeah.
And did the rumbling or the infrasonic sound disappear with the object?
Yeah.
Did it fade as it moved away?
Yeah, it faded as it moved away. And then when it did, it was, I had this weird feeling of, almost nauseous. And my wife was just scared. She didn't know what to think. But yeah, that was quite the thing to see, because we know what it was, but why did nobody else see this?
Yeah, that's weird. Well, he didn't look up. Not that many people look up, believe it or not.
Yeah.
We were talking about that Snell. I was in the cabin. It was like towards supper time. And I'm feeling the whole cabin, just this vibration, hum.
Right.
Chris Reinhardt was outside with a tuning fork, a 40 hertz tuning fork, 40 and below. And he had recorded this, and then he was blasting the tuning fork sound through the forest. Now, did that bring on all the orb activity? Who knows? I have no idea. But
yeah,
I went out there. Chris, I said, stop that. It's enough. It's driving me crazy, because I was in there just feeling that in my body. It was giving me anxiety after a while. But it's a good thing to try, right?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. So, okay. Well, so for sure you believe in UFOs. If you've seen one like that, that's pretty, those are the kind of rare sightings, where you see a craft. Yeah. Did it have any lights on it? No
lights whatsoever on it.
No lights. Yeah.
None. And like I said, it was moving so slowly. If there was if it was a helicopter, because those blades thump.
Oh yeah.
It was definitely not a helicopter.
Don't you wonder?
So huge.
Don't you wonder, Paul, how many UFOs never have lights on, and they're there, but we don't see them in the darkness?
Yeah.
That's freaky.
Why would they have lights on?
I always wondered that. Why would you have lights on unless they want us to see something?
Right. But would they have the same type of laws that we would, with the red and green light on right and left?
Exactly. Yeah, you do wonder. So what do you think orbs are? What are some of your guesses?
I think from everything that I've talked to different people, I think they are spirits.
Okay.
I really do. I believe that they are spirits, and I don't know if they're all
spirits
necessarily good.
Of dead people or something else?
I think of something else. I think there's because in the Cherokee lore, in the culture, there's a high, low, and middle, and I think that we live in the middle area, and the spirits are both above and below us. I don't know. I think they're just it's a spirit altogether. I don't think it was people that had passed or anything like that. I think it's just and these spirits are either good or bad, just depending on which part of Earth they're from, upper or lower.
Is it possible they're living creatures? They're not spirits, but they're actually living entities? Like, we don't see them or that often, but they live in the forest and they're alive. Is that a possibility?
I've thought about that, and I think so. I think there is a possibility of that because so many times you see or hear stories about they see faces within these orbs or something like that. And I think the orb is a way for them to be able to be seen, I guess. Maybe that's their way to communicate with us is through these orbs.
Yeah, you wonder about the different colors, the white ones, the blue ones, the red ones. Have you ever heard of a sparking one? I've seen 2 of those. And Adam recently, a friend of mine, saw one last year in the summer. And this one was headed into the forest. It was sparks. It's like Buck Rogers.
Oh, wow.
Sparks coming off it. Low to the ground, too.
Never heard of it.
Up. Sparks coming off it. Like what? And moving really slow. As if it was dying. I got the feeling it was dying.
Wow.
It was running out of battery.
Huh.
It was just weird.
When you say that like it was dying, my buddy, when he was telling a story about the red orange orb that was taking him back, he said he never got the impression that this thing was evil or had any ill intent. He had this kind of a warm feeling of comfort.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of an interesting little dynamic to that as well. What kind of feeling does a person have, or is that projection or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I can say I've never felt any thing weird with orbs. Have you ever heard an orb story where it affected things around it? Cars, buildings, power, camcorders, anything like that?
And did you see the question Quint just asked?
Oh, great concept. Doug, do you think the water is the main draw for orbs? I think water. Okay, that's a great question. Water, because that's something we should pay attention to. Are there more orbs near water? Like Bigfoot sightings happen almost in 99% of the cases within 500 yards of water or less.
Yeah.
Right? Why? Are they drinking that much? Do they like to swim? Is it because the rivers and lakes offer more forest cover? We don't know, but there's got to be a reason for it, or multiple reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But have you noticed anything with orb stories in water? Have you thought about that?
I haven't really thought about it and to put that together, but just like the one I just told you about, it was raining really hard, torrential downpour. So there's water involved there.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So that is an interesting dynamic. Maybe I need to go back and
well,
look
you
at
need
that
to write the first
and
book called The Orb Water Connection and start doing research on that one.
Wow.
I don't know.
It's interesting.
It is. Now that I think about it, because every damn orb I've seen was near water.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a really weird orb story. It's real quick. We were back on my lake, down by the shore. We had a little fire going, and an orb, maybe 1 a.m, comes over the top of the house that's across the lake. And it's low, like we're talking 100 foot or less. Comes over us. But the moment it got near us, you have to have aluminum docks on my lake. All of the docks, and aluminum now, not magnetic iron, started bouncing. Wow. Boom, boom, boom. They're all doing it, including mine. And then we heard crunching, metal bending, stress on the docks. Then the car alarms started going off all over the neighborhood. Swing sets started going. Literally, I'm not joking.
Wow.
You. Dogs were barking. It was right out of the movie. What was that movie? Close Encounters.
Yeah.
And it all just quit. Eventually the car alarms went off. The dogs quit barking. The orb was gone, and the docks settled down. But to see 20 aluminum docks jumping, bouncing, scared the hell out of us. All because of a white colored orb. And that's never happened. We've seen many of them, and that's never affected anything. But that night was insane. And once again, I had a witness, thank God, or I wouldn't be telling this story. Yeah. Have you ever heard of anything like that?
Nothing like that. I was in Veneta a couple of years ago, in Veneta, Oklahoma, and we were having an outdoor event there with the company that I worked for. I work for the Cherokee Nation in cultural tourism.
Mm-hmm.
And this outdoor event, I was out by the gate, and I was greeting people as they come in. The tribal council and chief and all these folks as they drove in. Well, they went up to the building where the event was taking place. I was standing there talking with a friend of mine, and this was in the morning, around 11 o'clock, and we just happened to look up, and there were these 7 different white orbs in the sky. Now, they were not drones. We know what drones obviously are and what they look like, because this was in the middle of the day, and you can see that they're just white orbs, and they're flying around up there, and it's not in any universal pattern or anything. They were 2 or 3 of them would break off and fly off, and then come back to the others, and then they would all just drift around and stuff, and then they would take off just super fast, and just disappear. And then a few minutes later, it would just reappear again from the other side. Yeah. And this went on for about 5 or 6 minutes. And we're looking at the watch going, okay, what is going on here? We need to make sure that let's look at time stamp here and see if there's any other reports, things like that, because it wasn't drones. When you're looking up into the sky, you have no reference point for measurement. So you don't know really how far away it was. But we know it wasn't drones. It wasn't helicopters or airplanes or anything like that. But then all of a sudden, they all just disappeared. Just disappeared. They didn't fly off. They just disappeared. So
were they locked together at times? Kind of locked. We don't even be locked together. Like they traveled. Like
yeah, they would. At times they would all come together and just bunch up together, and then they'd separate out again.
Well, the only time I've seen 2 orbs traveling together was 3 winters ago. We were driving down a parkway, and we see these 2 pink balls, bright Pepto-Bismol pink. I'd never seen a pink orb, but there's 2 of them, and they're at an angle, and they're traveling together. And then they turned, headed for our area. Another car pulled in right behind me. He was watching them too. And then one came near our windshield, right? We could still see it up maybe 30 feet from the windshield. And then the other one just zipped off, and that one blinked out. What the hell is that for?
Yeah.
And why? I can't find any information on bright pink orbs. It was pink. It was like fluorescent pink. 2 of them. Traveling together at an angle.
Wow, that's strange. I've never heard of a story of pink ones.
I haven't either. But once again, me and Yvette saw it, and it was in the wintertime. It was near water. And it's like, what are they doing? Are they learning? Are they just trying to freak people out? Are they saying hello? What are they doing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
no idea.
Here's a quick little story. There, I had a couple tell me that they were out at Lake Tenkiller. And it was late one night, and they were sitting in the car and they were getting ready to leave when they saw this white orb, and it had two little orbs with it. And the little orbs they weren't in unison. But they stuck together, And she said, we watched them for the longest time, just there. You could see them by the lake. We thought, okay, maybe this is a reflection from a campsite or something.
Yeah.
So you weren't sure what you were seeing at first.
Exactly. So they said they finally just got ready to leave. So they started the car up and they started leaving. And when they leave that area there, it was an area called Cherokee Landing. There's campsites all around there. They leave their headlights off so that they can drive out before they get to the highway. And he said when they pulled off onto the pathway to go out, said these orbs came right through his windshield and right out the back.
Yeah, I've heard a few other stories. Well, just like this guy that was up at Zell that saw one in the cabin. That creeps me out, man. I don't ever want to see an orb in my house. That would be really creepy. By the way, Sly Fox said, how big are these orbs? I can only guess. I would say basketball size, most of them. Size of a basketball. And they put out a kind of a light, but I've never seen them light the ground up or anything. They seem to just be kind of a soft glow, I guess.
Yeah.
I've only seen one blue one. And me and Yvette, once again, we're together. We were pulling up Radisson Road, right above the intersection, and I remember we saw it, and it did like a quick U-turn and was gone, zipped off. But it was beautiful blue and looked like it was almost made of glass, like you could see inside of it. And it's the only blue one I've ever seen. So what the hell have you heard any blue stories?
No, the only stories I've ever heard were either white or yellowish white or red with a pink tint, or an orange tint, I mean.
Okay.
But yeah, no blue, no bright pink.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I do wonder what they are. They're definitely a mystery. I mean, we've seen them in the day too. So we've seen these ones that go from white to black and then disappear. They go invisible.
Yeah.
We've seen what we call a flock of orbs. We don't know, or what do you call a bunch of orbs together? I don't know. We've seen them in the daytime, like over the lake.
Yeah.
Or over my yard. And there was one time we had so many swirling around our house and our trees and our roof that we lost all of the low voltage in the home.
Oh, wow.
Permanently. It burned it all out. I had to replace it, thermostats, just all the HDMI connectors and all of our TVs burned out.
Yeah.
Where you put a DVD or whatever to it, hook up to it. Everything burned out. My electric boat burned out its controller. My phone burned out. That was about a $10,000 hit sighting.
Wow.
That's what it cost to replace everything. Not covered by insurance, because you can't go to the insurance and go, well, we had a bunch of orbs. It's got to be storm related or something. So I had to pay for it all out of pocket, all of this damage.
Wow.
So have you heard daytime orb stuff other than the ones you saw?
No. Everybody that I've talked to and interviewed about different things like that, their orb stories are usually at night.
Okay.
And the one I was just telling you about that happened on Lake Tenkiller, he said that they had their radio on, and whenever this thing went through the windshield and out the back, he said the radio just crackled really bad, like really bad static. And he said after they left, it was gone. They didn't see it anymore. It worked just fine.
Well, I filmed all the ones that were swirling around my yard, and my iPhone never turned on again. I took it to the Sprint store. They said, your phone's a brick.
I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was quite a few years ago. But that was, And my iPhone was brand new too. It was like 2 weeks old, and I had to replace it. I didn't have insurance on it, and I still have it. And someday, at some point, I'm going to meet somebody who can analyze that phone, because I took it to 2 places, and both of them said, "Your phone's a brick." And I said, "What do you mean? It doesn't conduct electricity."
Wow.
So that's kind of interesting. And that's after filming these orbs up pretty close. And then one time we had a black one come right up, swirled around a pine tree. I didn't see it. Yvette did. Came around a pine tree and then came up to our railing and just sat above the deck railing. And, she said she pulled back her head, when she realized it was some alien. And she said it did the same thing. It reacted the same way. It jerked back when she jerked back, and she's kind of screaming, trying to get my attention. And then I do see it she's pointing. I see it out of the corner of my eye. I grab my phone, swirl it up to film it. And the moment I'm swinging my arm, it zips up to the clouds. And I did get about maybe 8 seconds of good footage of it.
Nice.
It was just jet black, blacker than black is the best way to describe it, but also a little bit bigger than a basketball size. And the other weird thing, it changed shape as it was sitting by the deck railing. We both saw it change shape. And then I went in the garage where it was really dark to see the footage, because my eyes were all screwed up from the sun. And then we came out on the deck, and here comes another one right out of the lake, from lake to clouds. It was underwater and out of the lake and went straight to the clouds.
Wow.
So there you go. So yeah, it's an orb menagerie. I definitely believe in orbs.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
My nephew, he lived over by a creek one time, and he saw what he said was a red orb out in the woods, and he wanted to see what it was, and he walked out there toward it. He could never get to it, but when he walked back to his house, he said he turned around and it was like right there in front of him. And then he said he tried to reach out and touch it, but then when he tried to reach out and touch it, it was all the way back to the woods again. And this was maybe 100 yards away, something like that. So it was just kind of weird.
So, all right. So what do you think Bigfoots are? What are your theories on Bigfoot? And you got to tell me more than one. Give me 2 of them, Paul.
Well, my theory is that Bigfoot is a real flesh and blood creature. And like you're talking about earlier, that they're mostly seen around in the woods by rivers or creeks or something like that. But if you think about it, that's the way most civilizations were. The Native Americans, they built all of their villages next to the creeks or the rivers, usually in a bend somewhere, like maybe an oxbow or something, where they had access to water, because that access to water is obviously one of the most important things for any animal out there. So I think it is a real flesh and blood creature. Now, the spiritual aspect of that is, I'm still, I don't know, I'm still kind of studying that myself, trying to figure out just, where they land in the spirit world. Do they have some sort of a paranormal connection to something that we don't know about? I mean, is it beyond what we know physically?
Well, here's something to consider. I always think about this. It's a humanoid that doesn't destroy the environment on any level.
Yeah.
Even pushing trees down would help the environment, right?
Sure.
It fertilizes the ground.
Yeah.
When I think about this is when I have to do garbage night. All the mess we make. I'm drinking a root beer now out of a tin can. They don't do that. They don't use anything. Right. There's no garbage. There's no nothing. So we're not real. Humans are not very environmentally friendly. Although we were at one time. First Nations people were very environmentally friendly. They would move their their encampments, often to not overhunt an area, and not even hurt the vegetation. So they live the right way. And, perhaps someday humanity will do that again, right?
Yeah. We
But
can only
in our
hope.
modern society, it's like, oh my God, the amount of garbage we all make.
Yeah.
You go buy something at the store and you got to peel off nine wrappers off it, to get at the damn product.
And then the food,
Yeah.
the food that's in that plastic seems like it's got plastic in it too.
Yeah.
All that processed food.
Exactly. Somebody had asked, I think it was Rockland, asked any folks being injured. Yeah. Look up the people that were attacked in, I think, South America. It was so bad. There were so many attacks. So many people were burned and injured by orbs. They had the military down there. It's pretty well documented down in South America. Just look up orb attacks. So, yeah, that has happened. Have you heard of any orb attacks, Paul?
I've not heard of anybody being injured by the orbs at all.
So now, so apparently, Flat Rockland, we have good orbs and evil orbs. I mean, who knows what they are? We don't know. There was a time when I was with Alex when it happened. I was with Alex. I was in a store. This is a true story. I don't know what it was. It still could have been some other explanation, but I saw this thing bouncing around in the store, like a little light, the size of a quarter or smaller than a quarter, but it was bouncing around like a moth. I thought it was a moth. And I looked at it and it was just kind of like, God, that's a light. That's not a moth. And I watched this little ball of light just bounce around. And it was right in front of me, bouncing around. And all of a sudden it flew into my face. I immediately felt burn. I immediately grabbed Alex and Blaine and we ran out to the car and I got home. My face was on fire. Got home. Time I got home, my cheek was swollen. By the next morning, it was really swollen. And by probably a week later, it was less swollen, but the area that the thing hit me, which I'm still thinking, I'm going, that must have been a moth. But it wasn't. I know it wasn't. And it left, I still have a scar on my right cheek from whatever it was.
Did you have any sort of a feeling or inclination that it meant to harm you, or there was any?
I don't know. It just seemed like, a moth is really erratic. They don't kind of know what they're like around a light bulb. They're just kind of going crazy, banging into it. It was kind of like that, but when it hit me in the face, it seemed intentional. And so I went to the doctor, everything. I had a problem for about maybe 5 weeks with my cheek, and it left a good scar that has faded through the years. Still highly there though. It's just like a deep scar in my cheek. One.
When you first seen it, did you like move toward it or try to look at it?
Well, I was just looking at it. It was inside a store of all places.
Yeah.
It's not what you expect. I was looking for an auto part. I don't expect to see an orb in an automotive section, right? At a department store. And it was just, the whole thing was weird. And it was over. And I remember, Alex probably has no memories of it. He was too young. But we ran to the car. I did not get what I came for because it hurt that bad.
Well, have you ever heard of an encounter with orbs, though, that where one person can see them and the other person can't?
No, that one I haven't heard.
Okay, so that's one of the things that I kind of wanted to experiment with, or not experiment with, but a theory, because if everybody can see it at the same time and still witness it, maybe there's not not necessarily a paranormal aspect to it. But if for some, I really believe that for some people, they're very more susceptible to be able to see these things and encounter these things than others. I think we're just more attuned to it. And I don't know if that's because it's you're more educated into that, or you've learned more about that, or you've researched more about it, and you just But I don't know what it is, but I think people are more susceptible to be able to experience these things than others.
Yeah, that's possible. Who knows? I haven't seen an orb, and I didn't even see one in snow. Everybody saw 2 of them, but me. Some people saw 4 or 5, but and I've had no activity like that lately. It's been quite a while. It's almost been a number of years since I've seen anything. And I'm telling you this story. This thing hit me in the face. For all I know, it was a little plasma ball from some electrical short in a fluorescent light. I don't know what it was. I'm not going to say it was, something, but I do know it burned me. Whatever it was did burn me, did injure me. I don't know if it was alive or what the hell it was, but I'll never forget that story. And I was actually looking at the scar the other day going, damn, I still got that scar.
Wow.
It's been a lot of years. I mean, Alex, you were probably 4 when that happened. Alex is like
probably 4. Yeah.
4. Yeah, you were 4.
Yeah.
Blaine was even younger. We live in a crazy world.
Yeah.
Just Bigfoot alone is completely nuts. That we could possibly have these huge creatures in our forest is already crazy. And then you combine it with other mysteries. It starts really getting far out, right?
Right. Well, I think that there may be some correlation there between the orbs and Bigfoot, but you're still dealing with some unknown factors. I mean, the woods, who knows what's really out there, just like under the ocean. We don't know what everything is everywhere.
Yeah. The sky, if you ever think about it, from the ground to, let's say, 200, 300 miles up, they claim that's our atmosphere, right? Our ectosphere and so on. That's an unexplored ecosystem. Completely unexplored. We don't know what goes on up there. We don't know if we have like plankton-like creatures living in there. Fish-like creatures, about that intelligence.
Sure.
Or they could be highly intelligent. We have no idea. But think of it as an ocean. From the ground all the way up 300 miles. Oh my God, there could be a lot of life in that area. So these things may be alive, and they could be different species, different colors, different sizes, different effects. Who knows? Or they're all just natural plasma phenomena, and there's no intelligence there, but man, what I've seen, it seems to be intelligence of some sort.
I think so too. There's something that's guiding them. I mean, it's got to be intelligence behind that.
Yep.
I don't think it's just there.
I don't either. So Todd, sky plankton, like plankton. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Bacteria, plankton, whatever. Who knows? Paul, you found your sweet spot on your Wi-Fi. After you moved, you didn't freeze up once.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So if there's we're gonna probably call it a night here any minute. But Paul, if there's anything you want to mention, talk about, say, go ahead. You've got the floor here.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on again. It's just I love exploring this everything about Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal stuff. It's just a fascinating world that we live in. We these mysteries. I love a good mystery. But this is this book here. This was the first volume, and the second volume. There's a couple of different stories in there that are just I think really fascinating that folks will really like. One has to do with being up north, up in Ural's neck of the woods, I guess. I spent a lot of time up in Minnesota before, up in Baudette and Thief River Falls and those areas up through there. But love that area. It's a beautiful place. And the sky is so incredibly clear. You can see so much more there.
That's one thing I'll say about Minnesota. We have fresh air, Paul.
Oh, definitely. But yeah, so this next one here, the volume 2, there's some really, really good stories in there, but there's also some a Bigfoot habituation story there from Honubby Creek that was really, really interesting, from an older lady that I had met down at Honubby that has a little farmstead down there. Just a fascinating story. But there's a UFO story that just blew my mind. And that was a guy from up north. He was a welder, a pipeliner, working up there.
Was that in our, okay, so that's in our neck of the woods, Minnesota.
Yeah.
All right. Tell the story.
Well, he was apparently working, doing some welding stuff up there, and he was driving back. It was late one night. He was in his welding truck when he saw something, a light behind him, and he thought it was just a car that was, coming up on him. And he would look at it back and forth, from his rear view mirrors, side views. Couldn't really see out the rear view, but you could see it out the side view. So, that side view mirror is not the best mirror to be looking at anyway, but that light behind him, he thought it was just another car or truck or something coming up on him. So, he slowed down a little bit because he knew he was speeding, in case it was a highway patrolman or something like that. And it's late at night, nobody out there on this highway. And the light came right up behind him and then passed right overhead. And it left him behind. And he said in just like a second, it was just gone. And then it came back to him. And when it did, he almost wrecked his truck. He said, because it looked like a freight train coming straight at him. And he stopped the truck on the side of the road, and he got out, and he was looking at it, and it was so bright that he couldn't see what the craft even looked like. But he knows it wasn't a helicopter because there was no sound. He said there was no sound. He didn't feel anything. But it was definitely airborne the entire time. It never touched the ground or anything. And he said he got out of his truck and he walked around. He would look at it and from the side of his truck and trying to kind of hide. But he said it would rotate around over to his side. And finally, he said he got back into his truck and he tried to start it, and it was completely dead. No electric at all. I mean, dash lights wouldn't even come on. And now he said this is really freaking him out. What's going on? And he said he's pretty scared. He's a big old welder, a big tough guy. And he said, I'll tell you what, I was about ready to cry like a baby because this wasn't normal. This is not natural. This is not man-made. And he said, he stood there cranking on it for the longest time. He said it finally left. And when it did, he thought, okay, well, I'm going to have to walk home. But after it left and got out of sight, his engine, everything, his lights came back on the dash, and he tried his engine and it started right up. Wow. No more problems. So that's a pretty fascinating story. But during that time, we also did a little investigation there and looked at a lot of newspaper articles and stuff and trying to find anything, if there was any other witnesses, some online research, but couldn't find anybody else that had reported anything like that.
There was that sheriff that actually had a collision with an orb up in northern Minnesota. That bent his antennas at a right angle, cracked the windshield, blew the taillights out, did a lot of it, and he had welding burns on his eyes.
Oh, wow.
And his name was Val Johnson. Look up the Val Johnson case.
Definitely.
And I found the car because apparently it had been put away. Ford grabbed it. They wanted to study it. And a buddy of mine was the Blue Book investigator on that case way back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And Val Johnson went on TV and told his story, but he had confirmed welder burns on his eyes. So it's quite a case. And it's one of those rare cases where an orb hit a car, did a lot of damage. So for those that wonder if they're safe, I don't think they are.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But could you imagine bending those spring-loaded antennas?
Yeah.
And they were on springs, and they're stainless steel, which hasn't been very easy. They were bent at perfect right angles.
Wow.
So the whole thing was weird. Yeah, look up the Val Johnson case.
I will.
It'd be a good one for another book.
Yeah.
But with that, I think we got to go. We can get your book on Amazon, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
All right, sounds good. Just remember, everybody, please definitely dwell on all those possibilities. Keep your mind open. We appreciate you if you're subscribed tonight. I'm going to check and see if we've hit 12,000.
Oh, awesome.
Subscribers after this show. Thank you for all that and all the success. And we'd love to see everybody back here next week. And with that, we love you all. Thank you. And thank you, Catherine, for moderating tonight, and John Ayers. And thank you, everybody, for all the great comments. It was a fun show. And thank you very much, Paul. And we will talk again soon. Good night, everybody.
Sounds good.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah, good night.
I call you up in the middle of the night. Been bothered by dreams, ain't feeling alright. You give me comfort, say just give it some time. By the end of our talk, I'm feeling just fine. You and I will always know where we belong. This ain't no ordinary love we got going on. I'll pick you up in my 59 Ford. We head on down the road until we get bored. Just you and me and the sun and the wind. If the rain should start falling, we'll head on home again. Everybody else can see where we belong. Oh, ain't no ordinary love we got going on. At the end of the world, together forever is one, and I'll wait. If ever you should be in doubt, and I'll pray they never can pull us apart, and I'll wait for the time when we'll be together every day. But I know if ever we'll be led astray, that I'll find my way back home to you again. At the end of the world, together forever is one, and I'll wait. If ever you should be in doubt, and I pray they never can pull us apart, and I'll wait. At the end of the world, together forever is one, and I'll wait. If ever you should be in doubt, and I